Good morning, dear students. Hope you all are doing well. As in the previous session, we have started online classes on object oriented programming or the basic concepts of OOP. In the previous class, we discussed about the basic concepts of object oriented programming, where in that chapter I had also introduced you to the previous techniques used, such as unstructured programming, structured programming, modular programming, procedural programming, and then comes object oriented programming. In the previous class, we had also discussed about the advantages of object oriented programming, the drawbacks of object oriented programming, and also the applications of object oriented programming and the previous drawbacks of programming techniques which has been overcome in object oriented programming. We had also had a discussion on OOP characteristics. This chapter, that is classes and objects, we continue the chapter number 7, that is object and classes. So in this chapter we will be learning what is an object, what is a class, how we can create a class, how we can create an object, and many other things. Welcome to Learn from Home, chapter number 7, classes and objects. Let me brief you about this particular chapter. This particular chapter carries 6 marks of your annual exam question paper. So in this chapter you will be having 6 mark questions coming for your annual exam. The total weightage is 6 marks. You will be getting 1 mark, 1 question, 5 marks, 1 question in your annual exam. So you have 1 mark, 1 question, 5 marks, 1 question coming from this chapter. So the total weightage is 6 marks from your annual exam. So let us start, or let us have a recap of the things what we studied in the previous class, that is object oriented programming characteristics. That is, we learned about object, class, modularity, data abstraction, data encapsulation, inheritance, polymorphism, dynamic binding, and message passing. So we will be focusing on this in this chapter on 2 things, that is object, class, data encapsulation, abstraction, modularity. The other topics will be discussed in coming chapters. So let us start with defining a class. What is a class? As we studied in the previous chapter, class is a blueprint of the object. A class represents the data variables and the functions. They are combined in object oriented programming using a class. So a class, it is used to define the data elements and functions as a single unit. It's a blueprint. So in the previous class we had studied that a object has certain characteristics and behavior. The characteristics are represented using the data elements. The behavior is represented using functions. And the data elements and the functions are represented in C++ using a class. Now we shall see how to create a class in C++. In C++, we have a class definition syntax. The syntax starts with the keyword class followed by the class name, and the entire class body is included within a pair of curly braces, and the class members are generally declared under three sections, namely private, protected and public. Now let us have a look on the syntax of how we can define a class in C++. So in C++, a class is defined by the class name. Before the class name, we will be using a keyword class, then followed by a opening brace, followed by three sections: private members, and then protected members, and public members, and then a closing brace followed by a semicolon. Class followed by class name. Class name can be any class name of your choice. For example, student, employee, book, class. So combination, any name of your choice can be given for the class name. Then comes the private members. In private members, as you see, there are data and functions. In protected, we have member data and member functions. In public also we have member data and member functions. Generally, a class includes three sections, that is private, protected and public. We can see all the three sections include its own members, that is data and functions. The data represents the characteristics of an object and the function represents the behavior of the object. Let us have a look on the example of defining a class. So, how we can define a class in C++? We take an example of class student. What is the name of our class? Student. Class is the keyword, followed by student is the class name. So we can see we have private section. Under private section, I am declaring a register number which is of integer type. Then I am declaring name, which is a character variable which stores the name of the student. REG stores register number of the student. Name stores name of the student. Then comes the public section. As of now, we are not using protected. We will be using protected access specifier later on. Public includes void get. Void get is a member function which is defined under the public section of the class, which will accept register number and name. It is asking to enter register number and name, which will be assigned to REG and name. So here the member function gets ended or terminated. Then there is one more member function defined under public section, that is put. So what is the job of put function? It will print the register number and name of the student. So put ends and then we end the class definition. See, as you can see, the name of the class is student and it uses only two sections, that is private and public. Under private we can see REG and name, which is register number and name of the student, and in public section we have two member functions, that is get and put. So finally you can see at the end the class definition is terminated by a semicolon. So in the above example, student is the class name. So what is our class name? Student. Register name, register number and name are the data members. Get and put are the member functions which operate on register number and name. So the three things we need to observe here. First thing is the name of our class. The name of our class is student. Then we have two sections, that is private and public. Private sections represent the data members of the class, that is register number and name. Similarly, public represents the member functions, that is get and put. Let us discuss access specifiers. As we discussed earlier, the data members and the member functions are defined under three sections, that is private, public and protected. These three sections are also called as access specifiers. So let us know what is access specifier. The data members and the member function of a class, they have three different level of protections. As discussed in the earlier classes, as I told you, the data members of a class can be accessed only by the members of the functions which are defined within the same object. That means the data cannot be directly accessed by the other objects. So that concept is called data hiding or data encapsulation. So here also we are protecting the data by defining them under three sections, that is private, public and protected. Basically, access specifiers, they provide a boundary to the data. It defines who can access, who cannot access the data. The three access specifiers supported in C++ are private, public and protected. Let us discuss each of them in detail. First, let us have a discussion on access specifier, that is private. So we can see that the private access specifier, suppose if the data or member functions defined under this section, they cannot be accessed outside the class. That is, the private members of the class can be accessed only within the class. They cannot be accessed outside the class. Generally, we define the data members under these sections. Generally, the functions are defined in other sections. Data members are defined in private section of the class. Suppose if a programmer forgets to give any access specifier, if they don't provide any access specifier, in such case, by default, if no access specifier is defined, compiler will consider it as a private members of the class. Next comes the example that represents the private members. So how do we define a private members of the class? So we can see that a class demo, we have private data. The private data is A, and then there is a member function in it which initializes the value of A to 10. There ends the class definition. We can see in the private section of the class there is a data member and a member function. The data member is A and the member function is init. So now we create a main function to access that. So we are creating a main function and then we are creating a object demo D, and then we are calling the function d.init. It cannot access the private members. So this program will create an error and this program will not get executed because class demo members are private. The private members cannot be accessed outside the class, not even from the main. Therefore, this program will not get execute. We will be getting an error that private members cannot be accessed. Next comes the access specifier, that is protected. The protected members, it is generally used in inheritance where we define the members. Protected members can be accessed only by the derived classes, not from any other class. The members or the derived classes can be accessed the data which is defined in protected. The members declared under protected access specifier can be accessed only by the derived classes and the class where they are declared. So next we have an example here to represent the protected access specifier. So we have a class demo, and then we have the protected members, that is int a and void init. So init will initialize a to 10. So there we end the class definition. So class demo has two protected members, a and init, and these two members can be accessed only within the class or by the derived classes or inherited classes. Next comes the public access specifier. So the members declared under this section of the class, they can be accessed from anywhere, from outside and inside both. Public access specifier allows the data to be accessed outside the class as well as inside the class. Anybody can access the data. So here we can see class demo, we have private, and the data member is declared under private section, that is A, and then we have public. In public we are defining void init, and then which will initialize a value to 10, and then we are closing the class definition. Then we are creating main, and then we are calling init. First we create the object, and then we call the init function to execute. As you can see in the class demo, we have one private member and then one public init function. So now we should see what is a object and how we can create a object. In C++, as we know that object is an identifiable entity. Once we create a class, we need to create a object. What is an object? Object is an instance created to the class. After creating a class, the next step is to create an object to the class. So how can we create an object? In C++, how are the objects created to the class? After defining class, a object has to be created. That means after creating a class, we need to create an object. The syntax for creating an object is shown below. Class name followed by object 1, object 2, object 3, like that you can create n number of objects. So as we say that class is the blueprint. Once you define the class, you can define n number of objects to that. For example, student. First we create a student class, then we are creating two instances, that is two objects to the class, that is S1 and S2. So how do we create an object? Creating an object to the class is by class name followed by the object name. N number of objects can be created, that is followed by the class name. For example, student. Student is the class name, S1, S2 are the objects. S1, S2, S3, like that, Sn. N number of objects can be created to the student class. Now we shall see a program which demonstrates objects and classes. As we know that every C++ program begins with the preprocessor directives, that is hash include iostream.h. So we include iostream.h in order to make use of input and output stream objects, that is cin and cout. So as you have written many programs in the previous year using cin and cout statement. Cin is used to input the data, cout is used to output the data. We begin by including our header file, that is iostream.h. Then we create our class and name of the class is demo. And demo class has a private member, that is register number, and then we have get, which will accept the register number of the student, and then we will print the same by using put function, and put prints the register number of the student, and there we end the class definition. So in this step we have created a class. We have created a class with the data members and the member function. The next step is to create the object. The object is created in the next step, that is student S. Student is the class name and S is the object created to that class. Now we want to access the members. We want to accept the register number. To accept register number, we make use of a function, that is get, which will accept the register number of the student. Similarly, after accepting register number, we are printing the register number by using put function. There we close the main function. So in this class we have studied about how to define a class. We just recall the things what we studied in this: how to define a class, how to declare a class, what are the different access specifiers. A class is created by using class followed by the class name, and in the syntax we can see the three sections of the class: private, public and protected, and how they can be accessed and how they can be defined. And also we studied how we can create an object for the class and how we can access the object to the class. Kindly study well and also attend the test. Thank you.